Hello, recording this video on September 16, 2018. Another video by T. Chase. I have a website called Revelation13.net about prophecies of the future. This video is about, there was a psychic medium named Leslie Flint, who is now deceased, but he was considered possibly the greatest psychic medium in the world as far as contacting the other side, where the deceased people on the other side, and they would actually speak through him, or actually, like, what do you call it, a voice box would appear next to him, where these from the other side, people who were dead would speak through him. And some of these were famous people, some of them not famous. And on the web you can find all the recordings on this. There was, look at leslieflint.com and YouTube, the new Leslie Flint Trust. That's Leslie and Flint, Leslie Flint. This British man is considered possibly the greatest psychic medium that has ever lived. And there's just hundreds of these recordings around, fortunately, that have been saved. Now, on my website, I do what is called the King James Version Bible Code, where I look at, using a software program, look for patterns in what is called a Bible Code matrix. And I tried running the Bible Code software in English in the King James Version Bible, using search words Leslie and Flint. And I found some interesting, what are called matrices. This first matrix was found at New Testament matrix, Revelation 13:11 to 21:17. And what is significant is the underlined words that appear in it that seem to be relevant for this subject. And he spake, and a dead man, and come out of the mouth, and then in heaven, and the voice of a great multitude, and out of his mouth, and earth, and the heaven, so these are all relevant words. Also, there is are passed away. Then there's another matrix here at New Testament, Acts 7:58 to Galatians 1:5. Again, I used the search words Leslie and Flint. And the relevant words in this were resurrection of the dead, mouth, death, is revealed from heaven, and I speak with tongues. Certainly relevant words on this subject. And that's what shows when it's an interesting Bible Code matrix, is when the words in it appear to be relevant. You may see other words of interest in these matrices. Some of the recordings you'll see on the leslieflint.com and the YouTube Leslie Flint Trust videos are of interesting people, such as there is a soldier, Jeremiah, from Oliver Cromwell's army in the English Civil War in the 1640s, who died in the English Civil War, although he was a follower of Cromwell, who eventually won the war. There's also Queen Victoria, many others, important people. Particularly interesting is look at the recordings of Rose. Rose, who was a flower seller in London. Then there's 4 different recordings over more than 20 years from Rose with messages. And what's clear is Rose has evolved on the other side by taking courses and things. Rose fairly Not that well educated when you first hear from her, and later on, an educated person through some kind of schooling she gets on the other side. Rosa, like I said, before passing away, was selling flowers in London. So these recordings range from 1953 to 1976. 4 recordings from Rose you'll see on leslieflint.com. There's also there's a good book to read which talks about the recordings. An absolutely great book on the subject it's called Life After Death by Neville Randall, and it talks about the Leslie Flint recordings and what is in them. It's only interesting reading. Thank you. See my website for more details.